Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown,
the unofficial sumo podcast
for official sumo fans. All right, so Alex, you're going to have to quit swearing quite so violently here now that we're recording.
Okay,
Get them out. Right. Get them all out.
Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown. This is Jake.
And this is Mac.
And we are here with Dark Circle Sumo's Alex Hearn. Alex, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We're doing just fine. Mac,
I'm doing super. Yeah, not this time, Jake.
We've recorded a couple interviews already today, and each time Mac is like, I'm fine. I'm hanging in there.
Well, see, on all the other episodes, you usually have this kind of level calm, like, I guess. It's no, but you just maintain that calm. I'm like, all right, I'm going to channel some of Jake in this.
Gonna channel
okay.
Jake's apathy here. Yeah.
Like,
anyway,
okay.
Shut up.
And I'm like, nope, I got to go crazy this time.
We are doing some preparation here for the North American Sumo Championships, December 11th in Las Vegas. Grand Sumo Breakdown will be there doing some ringside commentary and stuff. And to build as much hype as we can, we wanted to check in with some of the wrestlers, some of the personalities that are going to be there. So, Alex, we got to know you in Austin this year at the United States Nationals,
Great.
Which, am I remembering right? That was your very first tournament?
Yeah, I've been wrestling for about 4 weeks at that point.
I forgot it was only a month.
Yeah.
So now that you've got several more weeks under your belt, you're going to win in Vegas, I think, and you're going to go to Worlds is my expectation, at least, right?
I'm now 6 times more experience. That is true.
Perfect.
My goal is to we win one match, but we'll see. Everyone's get lucky, and things just snowball into going to representing the United States at World Games and all that good stuff. So yeah,
right on.
A key withdrawal here and there. Maybe all it takes is the one. We'll see. But no, we had a lot of fun meeting you in Austin. I'm sure we mentioned this on the show at least a couple times, but the very first time that we ever saw a Grand Sumo Breakdown t-shirt in the wild was when we looked across the arena and saw you sitting there with your wife after your matches, and like you were wearing a GSP t-shirt.
And they look great. I mean, I'm wearing it today, right? It's
fantastic.
Look at how, it looks awesome. I highly recommend to everyone to go grab one if you can.
Thank you.
Alex was not paid to make that statement. That was a genuine reaction.
But I just nudged Jake. I'm like, Jake, look.
So oh man. But yeah, so you train with Dark Circle there in Austin under Justin Kizzert and them. But yeah, so you'd been training for just a couple months here, and did they just kind of peer pressure you into being like, hey, we got a tournament that you got to compete in now, right?
Fresh
Pretty
meat.
much. Yeah. So Justin, the way that Justin put it was something on the lines of like, look, you're gonna suck your first tournament. It's just a fact. Like, no matter how good you are objectively, your first tournament is gonna be awful. You're already awful. Get it out of the way.
Why not?
Right now.
The great motivation here.
That was clearly the gist. Was like, yeah, you're bad. Just go do all your losing now, and yeah,
get it out of your system. There's only so many times somebody can lose in a career, so you might as well front load it, right?
Exactly. Uh-huh.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, so like that was we've kind of gotten the vibe that that's what everybody encourages in the community here, is just no matter what, compete if you can, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just go and try it. I mean, it's like, especially living in Austin at the time, the tournament was in Austin, so it was like, all right, like worst case scenario, I lose an afternoon, except I was going to be there anyway, because I had tickets to spectate, so like all it meant was that I like got up an hour earlier and showed up to wrestle and had more fun. So pretty low stakes to go compete.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, this one is a little bit higher commitment though, traveling over to Vegas. I'm just curious, was this like a no-brainer for you, or is it something where you had to be peer pressured into it again?
No, this is a no-brainer for me. After I started the one tournament, I was like, all right, if I wasn't already hooked, I am now. I really, really hate losing. And so, which kind of ironically, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna have to like lose a whole bunch, but the more that I lose now, the less I'll have to lose later. So like, let's get that, like kind of like you said, get that losing done, like get it out of the way. So losing was really good inspiration to be training hard and try to go win some.
Yeah,
I will have to say, looking at your performance from Nationals to Mighty Eagle, so I did just finish watching all through it and saw some of your matches. Night and day difference on you, sir. Bravo.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely felt on the verge of knowing what I was doing at Mighty Eagle. So
your very first match against, I think it was Chad. Was that
Chad,
your first? Yeah, I was about to say your first match against Chad. Wow. I'm like, holy crap, he's scrappy. Look at him. He's not getting blown out. Like, look at him go.
I think it was probably to this date, the best match of my life. And Chad and I, we on most weeks, we will go against each other like multiple times a week, right? So we know each other pretty well at this point. And so, that's always kind of like an interesting twist on things when you're wrestling at someone who you were.
You were this close. I was like, so close. He's got it. He's got a grip. He's got a grip. Come on, go for the throw.
And afterwards,
not that I was biased. I try to be as unbiased as possible.
Of course.
Yeah. I got left instead of right. I think I would have had it there. And Justin's like, yeah, you don't always have to throw with your right hand. Like your left hand is also a hand that can throw. Like, yeah.
I love that phrase you dropped, on the verge of knowing what I was doing, which honestly is on the GSB family crest. I think that's our official motto.
Close.
But yeah, so you got nationals under your belt. You got the Mighty Eagle team tournament under your belt. So on the way to Vegas here. So kind of a whirlwind first 6 months for you. Did you start out just competing, or have you followed sumo for a while before that?
Yeah. So I actually started following sumo back in 2013 or 2014, somewhere in there. I just moved up to Seattle. I was like kind of all alone. There was a Reddit thread where someone linked to one of Jason's videos of like, guys really happy when his favorite sumo wrestler wins, and I was like, what? Like, what is this? Like,
what is
this? Actually happy about sumo wrestling? I clicked the video and I'm like, it was when Harmafuji got promoted to Yokozuna by winning against Sakuho, and I was like immediately hooked. I had a friend from college who moved out like a month later, and like literally the first thing we did together was like, Jay, you gotta come, you gotta watch the sumo wrestling. It's so much fun. He was like, again, he was from the same boat of like, what are you talking about? Like, why would you ever watch sumo wrestling? And he comes over, we like start. He's like, this is awesome. So been watching it for a while. Kind of got out of it a little bit when I moved to Austin, just because there was sort of not the social aspect to me of like, hey, hanging out with a friend and watching sumo.
Sure.
And but then when COVID hit, it was like, great, I'm looking for something to do now that I have like time at home alone, and just things like fill the void, right? So I was like, sumo, that's perfect. I'll get back into it. Started to get back into it, and then back in, I guess it would have been in May of this year, on day one of that show, I was expecting to go get some ramen with my wife and this friend who'd moved to Austin in the meantime. We were going to bring it back, and we were going to watch day one of the Bat show together. And we were like, my wife and I were on our way to a coffee shop to just like, before we went and picked up this ramen, and we happened to walk past Texas Sake, and I happened to see sumo on the TV, and I was like, oh man, like, should I go in? And when he was like, yeah, go in, you gotta go in. I'm like, no, it's fine. We tried to go to the coffee shop. The coffee shop was closed for the day. And so I'm like, all right, this is a sign from the universe. Like, I gotta go in and just see, right? So walk in, go up to the bartender, and hey, do you guys have sumo on often? And the bartender's like, yeah, I'm actually a big sumo fan. Oh, cool, great, I am too. This is pretty awesome. I mentioned like, hey, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but there's a sumo tournament here in town coming up. And the guy was like, yeah, I do know it. I do know about it. I'm actually running the tournament. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, do you know people who sumo wrestle? He's like, yeah, I Dark Circle Sumo. I'm Justin Kizzer. I run the club. Like,
I'm Justin.
You want to come train with us? Yeah, I actually do. That sounds awesome. So,
the universe already told you that day that sumo was the right way to go, right?
Exactly, 100%. So ever since then, I've just been kind of along for the ride. But you don't argue with the universe. That's a great way to lose. So.
Don't argue.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. So like that was that nationals tournament was your first one. And I mean it was kind of our first one trying to follow the US sumo scene.
Yes.
We connected and we just kind of hung out at Texas Sake that night. That was a blast. A bunch of the wrestlers, the commentators, fans, and everybody, we just all kind of hung out at Kizzert's sake restaurant. Like that was the universe absolutely was guiding a lot of people through that restaurant, I think. Through that bar. But yeah, so what's it been like since then? You've been training hard. I mean, obviously you're training. You got like Max said, you've come a long ways in your own technique. But yeah, what's it been like the last couple months here?
Yeah, so Dark Circle, we sort of train twice a week. So Sundays are like very formal, not very formal, or more formal. Keiko, we're doing the traditional. You start with 50-100 Chico, you're doing Soriashi drills, footwork drills, all that kind of stuff, and then technique and matches. Do that on Sundays, and then Wednesdays. I don't know of anyone else who does this. I guess the Dallas team kind of does this. We go out to the volleyball courts at Zilker Park here in Austin, Texas, draw a little ring in the sand in one corner
sand
there.
sumo.
Sand sumo, exactly. Yeah, and just do matches for like an hour and a half, and that's really fun to really like. I think Justin sees that as much as like public outreach as training, right? Just so many people coming by. Mm-hmm. Like, are you doing real sumo? And we're like, no, we're doing fake sumo. Like, what do you mean?
Do you see a Gyoji? Do you see the Tawara?
We're doing the pro wrestling version. Somebody's gonna break out a chair or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're training for demonstration matches and sort. So yeah, dude, that's sort of the normal core training, and then for me personally, like I'll put it as an advantage. One of the advantages of being like entirely untrained, unathletic, totally weak, is that
it's thoroughly really pathetic, right?
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
come on, man. Have a little more.
So like my key, like my only athletic attribute is hand-eye coordination, which is important. Don't get me wrong. But where I'm going with this is like an advantage is that it's really easy to go from super weak to not quite as weak. So I've been doing strength training a couple times a week. That's been pretty notable. It's for me personally, that's kind of on each wrestler to decide what is the thing that they need to up their game. For me, it's just like I just need to be stronger.
Sure.
So been doing that to get ready. So yeah, it's been fun.
That's where awesome. Do you see your style developing? I mean, from where you started at nationals to where you were with the Mighty Eagle team tournament, where do you see, are you more of a pusher thruster? Are you thinking more of a belt guy? Which way do you see yourself developing?
Definitely a belt guy. I was sort of joking with Justin on Thursday that like my style is kind of like Indo. If you take all the good parts of this style and leave only the bad parts, we're like, he's a little too willing to move backwards. He like sometimes runs out of energy, is like really good on the edge, but you kind of just wish that he didn't let himself get on the edge in the first place. That's kind of how I would describe my style a little bit. So
yeah, you got some scrappiness, you got some cleverness to it, but I mean, as a fellow smaller guy, I imagine the size is probably an issue for you, right?
Yes, for sure. So lightweight versus lightweight, not quite so bad. Although a lot of lightweights now are sort of people who have been cutting down from like their peak of 210 pounds of solid muscle to 187 pounds of solid muscle. And I'm like, well, okay.
Fine.
But especially against bigger guys, that's just it's almost a different sport to do sumo against a heavyweight, like a true heavyweight, as against the lightweight. It's so different. You have to use your speed, your this is weird to say, but like increased turning radius, I guess. You have to really be able to use angles and like really be able to I don't want to put it, just to take advantage of anything you can get against heavyweights. That's been a really interesting challenge too, is having to develop both those aspects of my game. It's like, I think it's one of the things that's very good. It's kind of like cross training, right? Like if you are really good against a heavyweight, that is going to make you a better lightweight sumo wrestler.
Sure.
So yeah.
And I saw a lot of that with the Mighty Eagle team tournament. How did you enjoy that? Because I saw you going against Caleb. I saw you going against guys that were way out of the weight class, where I'm like, he's a lightweight going against a heavy. I'm like, this isn't the open. What are you doing?
Alex, no.
So much fun. So I think my match against Caleb was my most disappointing match of that particular tournament. Caleb comes up and trains with us semi-frequently he drives up from San Antonio to train with us on Sundays. So I fought with him a couple times, and honestly got to the point where I can like actually meet him head on. If you think about it from physics, force equals mass and acceleration. Caleb's a lot more mass, but I can accelerate.
Your Tachi was great. That's why I was like, oh, he did. Oh,
and then you hit a brick wall, right?
Like, oh man, I got my own hand a little bit. But yeah, I really like fighting against bigger guys. I think it's just an interesting challenge. It's we're lucky that Dark Circle has started to add a couple new heavyweights and light heavyweights just recently in the last few months. So that's been really good to round out, I think, sort of the profiles of people that we can train against during practice. It's been really good. So
yeah, because you guys are mainly on like the smaller side as a club in general, right?
Yeah, I think we probably have the highest concentration of lightweights of just about any club in the country. We've got 4 people who will be competing in lightweight men. In Vegas, we have 2 lightweight women who are incredible. Ari, one of our women, has the best Shiko of anyone, like truly outstanding. If you get the chance to watch Ari do Shiko, I highly recommend it. Her foot is like practically 180 degrees. It's
like Abi level Shiko.
Like better.
Better than that. Oh wow.
It's incredible. Yeah. And like both are lightweight women. That's like it's interesting being a lightweight guy fighting lightweight women because Ari's like 105 pounds and will regularly still beat me because she's just good. I'm like, oh, this is what it feels like to like be a heavyweight guy and lose to me, right? It's like just wow, I don't know how to beat that. I never fight people who are smaller than me, right? Like, what do you even do against that? So, yeah, we're pretty lightweight heavy. Lightweight heavy. That's kind of ironic. We have quite a few lightweights on our team, which is obviously great for training purposes. It's nice that all of our lightweights I think have pretty different styles too. We all sort of approach the game a little bit differently. So we're pretty well rounded. But yeah, one of the downsides until recently was that we didn't have a lot of great heavyweight competition to train against. So you get to the open weight, and that's why I didn't compete in open weight at nationals in Austin. Was that I had just never gone up against a heavyweight before, and I was like, okay, I don't want this to be my first time. Like, let's do it in practice first, and then we'll.
And then
you get some heavyweights, which is great. So I can be well practiced.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to like practice against somebody who's really good but similar size like Kizzert.
Maybe go up against a middleweight guy, like, all right, maybe.
And then maybe you hit a brick wall like Caleb or Robert or Kyle Ferreter or something like that.
Yep.
It's a little different.
Just the whole yeah.
That's funny. But yeah, so your club, I did want to bring up one of the other stars of your club, ironically, as a smaller size club. You also have Eros over there, Eros Armstrong, who's a human tank. And how does it like wrestling against her? That's got to be like running into a brick wall as well, right?
So she is like maybe the strongest person I know. Like just not the first one I know, the strongest person I know. Just straight up. I've actually never wrestled against her, which is probably good. It's probably why I'm in one piece, because I think she could like accidentally, like literally, I'm fairly certain that like one hand it would be more than sufficient for her to beat me without trying too hard. So I didn't wrestle against her. She's been dealing with some injuries recently, unfortunately. So nothing too serious, nothing that's going to prevent her from being in Vegas. But I think she's very carefully shepherding her health and making sure that she's in 100% shape for Vegas. I've never fought against her. I really want to. I think it sounds like fun and terrifying.
Yeah.
The first time we saw her wrestle, we were terrified because we were not expecting any of it. We're like, oh God.
Yeah.
No, we'll be catching up with her as well soon in the lead up to Vegas. But yeah, like who else from your team's going along that who are some of the favorites besides Eros? I mean, you guys
and
have
yourself,
Justin
obviously. You're going to take the lightweights, right?
Besides me, Eros, yeah,
of course.
It's hard to count out Justin. He has so much experience. He's been in this for so long. So I think he's going to be strongly competitive in men's lightweights. I think also we have Sam, who's one of our light heavyweights, or our only light heavyweight. Incredibly talented, incredibly strong, like pusher thruster, former shot putter, and just like I have been shot put by him, like physically picked up off of my feet and tossed out of the ring. He's always like the nicest guy ever, so he felt really bad about it afterwards. And I was just,
of course,
giggling on the floor about this whole thing. He's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Like, I'm fine.
I'm fine physically,
I'm
but
fine.
emotionally."
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like, my dignity's a little bruised, but other than that, I'm okay. I think those are probably our sort of just most competitive overall wrestlers. Unfortunately, we had one of our new heavyweights who I think who could have been a really strong contender heavyweight, tore his ACL a couple weeks ago. So unfortunately, he's not going to be able to be there and compete. He's still going to be there to support the team, which is amazing.
Ben from the Mighty Eagle team tournament?
Yes. Yeah.
I thought that was him.
Yeah. And that was his first tournament ever. He'd only been wrestling.
That was his first tournament?
Yeah. Only wrestling for like 6 weeks or something at that point. Yeah.
What a way to go out. That sucks. Getting injured that early.
No, he did great. That's why I'm like, I gotta know more about this guy.
Yeah. He's incredible. He's been super fun to train with. One of the guys who I think is, been a really great training partner, again, just because for each other. I think, our styles are so different, our sizes are so different. It just requires a whole different mindset to approach that. And for like a brief 3-week period, I had a technique advantage over him because he was just starting and I'd been doing it for like 6 months. That went away real fast. That's the downside of working with a good instructor, right? Is that like they bring everyone up pretty fast. So you only have temporary advantages.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like we were said, with all the front loading your career with the losses, you still got to get a couple wins in there. Get one over on the new guy here and there, right?
Yeah,
there
exactly.
you go.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's fun. Yeah. So what are you looking forward to in Vegas? Like, obviously, as you're progressing, hoping to do a little bit better each time and stuff like that. But yeah, who are you looking forward to seeing again? Who are you looking forward to wrestling against?
Yeah. So I think that, going into it now, I can actually pay attention to what's happening. I'll just be like, ooh, wrestlers, ooh, sumo, this is so much fun, like shiny lights and all that. So I think that really for me, this tournament is about continuing to learn, really appreciating what it means to fight against people who are the best. So, thinking like JJ here out of San Diego in the lightweight division is always the guy that when we're like, doing push-up ladders or whatever for conditioning and practice, Justin is like, all right, you're not pushing yourself up, you're pushing JJ away from you. Like, that's always his go-to example of like, that's why we're doing this, right? So, I would love to get to fight him, Joseph from who won in Dripping Springs Nationals.
Monsetto?
Would love to fight him. In addition to both those people, by the way, just throwing this out there, like the nicest human beings ever.
Oh God, yes, right.
Absolutely.
Doesn't take away from the rivalry, but yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That's fair of like most people in sumo in my experience, but also just super nice guys. In terms of people, like so many people I met in at nationals that I'm excited to catch up again. The community is, I've never met a community as good as this one. And so, just the opportunity to go and hang out with people after the tournament is over is like about half the reason I'm going. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah. We can heartily agree with that. It's once we were there and we experienced it, I'm like, holy cow, there is an energy about all of this. It's welcoming. It's fun. There's no animosity. I mean, of course, when you get in the ring, there's the rivalries, but once that match is over, everybody's laughing and picking each other back up.
Yep. Lots of hugging after matches, right? Like that's
You're an animal for 10 seconds and then you're best friends again and teaching each other what you were trying to do. Yeah.
Just like what you said with Kemco. It's like, I'll get you out of there. Oh my God, are you okay?
yeah.
That's fun. Yeah, well, we're certainly looking forward to hanging out with you more in Vegas. Like we said, one of the best parts of Nationals was just hanging out at Justin's bar and getting to know everybody there and hanging out with you and your wife. Good to hear she's coming along.
Yes.
We'll return the favor. You get to meet our wives in Vegas this time around. It'll be great. But yeah, thanks again for joining us here. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about before we go? How do you get a hold of Dark Circle Sumo? Where are you guys at? What kind of stuff would you like to get out there?
Yeah, so we stream our practices on Twitch and YouTube every Sunday. If you ever want to follow along, if you're not a place that has a sumo club but you still want to train, check us out there. And of course, Instagram is probably the best way to get in touch with Justin if you're in Austin and happen to want to train with us. I think that's just at Dark Circle Sumo. And you can see pictures and streams of our practices there.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Well, thanks again for joining us. And again, looking forward to seeing you again, hanging out.
Thanks for having me.
The North American Sumo Championships, Saturday, December 11th in Las Vegas. Grand Sumo Breakdown there doing the commentary. As we mentioned on our previous ones, if you're lame and not willing to go to Vegas, but you still want to watch it, it will be on YouTube. We got Sumo Kaboom commentary on the YouTube stream. But I mean, if you're there, then you get to hear Grand Sumo Breakdown Yeah, I mean, of course, as ringside commentators. But yeah, you can find Grand Sumo Breakdown on social media and all that junk. You know the story. Thanks again for joining us, Alex, and we will see you around.
I love how you've gotten more apathetic the more we do.
It's been like 4 years of saying what our Twitter handle is every week that we record. It by now.
Worse.
If you're listening to this show, you know how to find the show. Ryan's not here to keep us in line, so we're gonna get a little goofy. All right, thanks again, Alex. You have a good one. We'll see you in a couple weeks here.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown. Until next time,
Throw your salt high
and keep moving forward.